This is Harley from Truebit Core, and I'm going to be introducing you to truebit-os. So in this video, I'm going to be first explaining what truebit-os is at a pretty high level, and then giving you a short demo. So what is truebit-os? Well, before I can really answer that question, I kind of have to ask, what is a Truebit client, or what type of software will people be using to interact with the Truebit system? Well, Truebit is mostly done off-chain, besides a few smart contracts that are deployed on-chain. And most of the user interaction will be with software that is being deployed off-chain. And this type of software are typically what we call clients, which what they do is they monitor and they interact with the smart contracts that are related to Truebit. And the reason why we created truebit-os is because as we were trying to build a Truebit client, we realized that there are a lot of different varieties of parameters, architectures, different choices that it's really hard to make a solution that works for everyone. And so even if it's just for ourselves or for different people using this, we felt it was better to go with a more generic approach that allowed for people to build their own modules that could target a sort of common platform. And people, rather than presenting a solution for people, people can build their own solutions to their particular type of problem. And truebit-os, it really could become a platform for all types of interactive verification games, possibly even going beyond just what Truebit does at the moment. So really trying to think about it as a big picture. So that's kind of why we created truebit-os and what it is. The benefits of this are, composability, so people can create their own modules and then compose their own client, and that creates we sort of provide the levels of abstraction to do that. And then that means there's no vendor lock-in. It makes it much easier to upgrade, much easier to extend, and hopefully people will be reusing code more and focusing on the problem at hand as opposed to sort of reinventing the wheel. So I'm going to give you a short demo. So you can kind of follow along with our README on here. That's pretty much what I'll be basing it off of. It's pretty straightforward. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start up the shell to interact with the truebit-os. So here we go. And voila, you see this. So let me break this down. There's a config file here, which it basically points to where your different modules are. And you may, if you've read the Truebit white paper, you may recognize some of these terms. And so these modules are kind of creating the agents that are interacting with Truebit and describing what kind of behavior that they do. And we have this other directory called basic client, and it is supposed to be kind of a template for what other people's clients might look like, or a place for them to house their modules. And then that software will be used by the OS shell or the truebit-os system. So here we go. We have the shell open. See here. And if you do help, you can kind of see a list of commands. And if you do help start, you can get some information on what those commands do. So just a few at the moment, but this is a work in progress. It's still pretty early. So the first thing that we want to do, so as I was talking about before, we have these agents that are monitoring and interacting with the blockchain, or specifically the Truebit smart contracts. And what truebit-os tries to do is tries to make that process very, very easy. So literally, first we need to do is we need to submit a task to the Truebit system, but we first need to create a task giver process, and to do that, we can do start task, which starts a task giver process. Like I said, you see A0, which shows is the first account. So let me actually do the accounts command. So A0 will correspond to this account. So let's type that up again, task 2, and that should be it. See, that's all we had to do. Done. So what this does is it creates some event listeners and has some code and some built-in business logic that will sort of, as you send it tasks, it will kind of interact and handle the process for you, defined by the module in basic client. Then We also, since I'm running this on locally, I also need to start my own solver as like someone to actually compute the result. And in this case, I'll be using account 1. So boom, just like task giver, solver is easily initialized just like that. So now we need to, in order to make it happen, it's really great that we can just start up these processes and it's working, but we want to, kind of show some interaction. So the way you can do that is we have a task command and you specify which account you want to do it from. Do -t, which shows you the path to where your task file is. So it's a very simple JSON file, just a few data parameters, and boom, task submitted. Well, the thing with truebit is that it takes it uses a certain number of blocks before your task solutions is finalized. And since this is running on my local node, no blocks are going to be being mined. So I have to kind of trigger that itself, and I have this simple command right here. So I'm skipping 65 blocks. And what happened is, you're like, okay, cool, but what happened? Well, if we go to our solutions directory, we see that we have this solution here, which is related to the task ID, and this is the data, the solution that the solver presented, and it has been finalized. And so it's put right here. So simple as that. So data in, data out, and you don't really have to deal with much parameters or dealing with the specific details about interactive verification games and etc. etc. You can just start some processes, send some data over the wire, and get some results back. And truebit-os is trying to make it as easy as possible and also as extensible as possible for people to build really cool things with it. So hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you like truebit-os.